I would like to start by giving a shout out to the visual team of the show. I think they're always doing such a great job convincing me to book my next holiday into any country they feature. I would also love to feed goats and watch them jumping and kicking around stones. Probably not wear a blazer or a leather jacket while doing that, but hey, the goats seemed happy and they got snacks. Hi there, I'm Andrea, and I cannot believe I'm talking about goats in my introduction, let alone the second Love is Blind video I ever made. I will be talking about Love is Blind Germany Season 2, Episodes 5 to 8, and at this point I haven't watched the weddings or the reunion. I am a big Love is Blind fan, and I even wrote a song with my friends about Shake from Season 2 US. But anyway, getting back to our goats. We are now in Crete with five, unfortunately but not unexpectedly, soon to be three couples of this season. In my previous video, I talked about what worries me in their journey as the wedding day approaches. And there were definitely two couples where the outcome of breaking up pre-wedding for a seasoned LIB veteran. Wasn't it obvious from their introduction? Anyway, episodes 5 to 8 had scenes that left me speechless and other scenes that made me really hopeful for the people on the screen. After all, I am a sucker for love and romance, and I always get invested in the cast of the Love is Blind universe. Like I said in my previous video, I am sticking out for the emotional intelligence and the growth that the people are capable of, and that I like to be inspired by when watching reality TV. Wendy and Jubriel. Let's catch up with Wendy and Jubriel and see how they've been doing since their very steamy reveal. Any news? Conversations? One syllable words? No, we still have nothing. During their vacation, we can notice an immediate disconnect, and while the physical wall is now gone and they are finally able to see each other and interact with each other, Jubriel seems completely detached emotionally and only gets excited when his outfit looks good or at the thought of meeting his friends from the pods in the couples meetup. He confesses being overwhelmed by the experience, but when he talks, I see the dangly earrings sparkling, and then I manage to snap out of the psychosis and stop myself from giving him the benefit of the doubt. Of course, dating and getting engaged blindly is an overwhelming experience, but if you are there with good intentions, it shouldn't feel like pressure or as if you're in a cage. For sure, Wendy notices Jubriel's disconnect, and while she respects his time and his need of space, her energy is gradually dimming out every time she reaches for a connection that Jubriel doesn't reciprocate. For me, it was heartbreaking to see Wendy's protective wall slipping off immediately at the couple's meetup in the safe embrace of her pod friends. In further support of her friend, Josie even has a direct and open conversation with Jubriel where she kindly advises him to communicate his feelings for Wendy and to offer her the reassurance that she deserves. We don't get any heartfelt, sincere, or mature conversation, and it seems that Wendy and Jubriel are barely scratching the surface. Luckily, the love's blinding veil falls off Wendy's eyes, and she can finally see the reality and decides to return Jubriel his ring back and leave the island. Wendy and Jubriel see each other again at the couple's meetup in Munich, and we learn that Jubriel expressed wanting to figure things out on the outside in Germany, but there has been zero contact between them. And somehow in Jubriel's reality, there is no bad blood and nothing bad happened. I honestly think there was no need for a conversation because nothing was cleared up. I hope the reunion will shed some light on things that were said and that accountability will be taken by some of the participants. It was quite enraging for me. But Wendy is a queen and she leaves the conversation with her head held high, albeit slightly confused, but I hope we'll only hear good news from her during the reunion, which I know I am late to, and I cannot believe that I managed to keep myself busy throughout the week without watching any LIB content until I finished filming. If this isn't dedication, I don't know what it is. Loan and Ian. Was anyone expecting something else? Let's start at the beginning of the honeymoon with Loan and Ian and their lack of chemistry, attraction, or familiarity. Things are tough and they're both clumsily navigating meeting each other in person. For Ian, the real Loan doesn't match the pretty girl in flowery dresses fantasy that he created in his head. probably his damsel in distress that needs saving by the self proclaimed Mr. Nice Guy. Real Loan wears cool and edgy clothes instead, and she has deep cut dresses and microskirts, and this is a big reality hit for Ian. Noticing these hesitations, which he first shares with the men during the meetup, might I add, Loan is trying to accommodate his overthinking and his being slower into developing feelings, but she expresses she doesn't want to worry about whether he is attracted to her and that she wants reassurance from her partner. Ian interprets Sloan being open to giving their relationship a chance to slowly develop step by step as her being the most selfless person he knows, and naturally, as they say, good on paper. But this type of thinking doesn't grow anything but resentment and disconnect, in my opinion. Somehow, with Ian, there's always comparing and opposing their relationship versus Consti and Jesse's relationship, the fantasy Loan versus the real Loan in front of him, a woman using proper grammar, which is a turn on for him, versus Loan using perfect grammar, which doesn't quite strike the same chords, right? Honestly, the whole grammar spiel and how would you call the end of the bread thing seems like a script to me, as if this is a line that had worked at some point with someone and now is something that I will be using with all my partners. I also get the impression that as Ian is looking for support from Consti, he gets more agitated by talking to him. At all the couples meetup, Ian comes with a really positive energy and a step by step mentality, and it's surprising how quickly his demeanor changes once Consti shares his wise words and starts deconstructing everything he says. Despite these difficulties in the honeymoon, Loan and Ian continue the experiment in Munich, where for a blink of an eye it apparently worked well, and they seem to be more connected and comfortable with one another until we end up in the same spot we always end up in. And that is the kitchen, where a big talk happens while writing wedding guest lists, and the breakup is initiated by the man who had been self sabotaging and creating obstacles in the relationship almost from the same day. Loan is crying a lot, and I was really sad for her, but I hope she understood it's for the best and I'm manifesting a reunion where she is happy, bubbly, like she said. Jesse and Consti. At this point, there is no wonder why we were shown their proposal and reveal first, because it seems like they are the most grounded out of all the couples in this season, and they seem to be growing roots together quite well. At the beginning of their honeymoon in Greece, Jesse and Consti clash a bit on their different lifestyles and their views on physical health, sports, and smoking. Apart from an immature, petty fight about Jesse smoking, where after cooling off, they both allowed more mature thoughts to come back in the conversation, they seem to have a strong connection together. While there was some hesitation on Consti's side because he was waiting for the other shoe to drop, as he said previously, during their honeymoon, Consti realizes that he's in his head too much and he acts hypervigilant instead of enjoying the moments and getting to know Jesse better. This happiness bubble continues for them in Germany and Mallorca as well, and Jesse and Consti navigate living together and meeting each other's family and friends. They seem to be the only couple that has a clear plan about what's going to happen after the wedding, especially living plans and their living situations, and they decide that they will split their time between Germany, living in Jesse's apartment, and Mallorca, living in Consti's apartment. Speaking of Mallorca, I must share this. I would really love to be Consti's mom when I grow up. Not as having Consti as my son, but having a big kitchen where I can cook a lot of nice meals and have an outdoor dining area and a pool, and I can enjoy living on a beautiful estate wearing only linen dresses and cashmere cardigans. The family's meetups went as well as they could, especially with Consti's family, who welcomed Jesse immediately, and they all vetted their relationship and their upcoming wedding. There were some hesitations on Jesse's friends and the family side, because we see a conversation between Jessie, her mother, her sister, and her friend, and they all share how worried they are about how fast things are moving and how it seems that Jesse is all in without really taking into consideration what the marriage means. Regardless of this, Jesse and Consti's relationship seems to be growing, and they say I love you, and we even see Consti proposing to Jesse again in the mountains with a new ring and a better posture despite the cold. We'll just have to wait and see, but I think they are 100% locked in at this point. Josie and Gunnar. Their connection is very visible during their honeymoon, and while there was that reluctance during the reveal, we are now shown several times that they are very comfortable with each other. There is a moment where they also explain that the no kiss at the reveal was intentional and was only for Josie's comfort. I generally enjoy their dates and conversations, but I still have some doubts because even if Josie is saying that with the right partner she would be comfortable with not having any kids, there seems to be this lingering hope that maybe Gunnar changes his mind. Maybe some things are lost in the translation, and Josie isn't actually hoping for that because I don't think it's healthy for anyone in a similar situation. It's very similar to when people say, I'm sure you'll change your mind to any woman who is child free. No, thank you. My mind is my own, and if I have made it, your certainty will not change it. However, they are openly discussing their thoughts and worries, and they are both firm in their decisions. Gunnar doesn't want children, and Josie knows for sure she will not be bothered by it. Their physical connection also grows, and we are informed that everything works well in the bedroom department. Josie is confident in her body, and she is happy that Gunnar loves all of her insecurities and all. And speaking of love, I got really emotional when they said they love you to each other in that beautiful bar in Greece. There is overall happiness in Munich as well, and Josie meets Gunnar's family, who asks several deep questions. I think they had a nice, meaningful conversation, and Gunnar's parents were really happy that not only did Gunnar and Josie tackle some difficult topics already, but they also found resolutions for them. Gunnar also wins Josie's friends over, and it seems that overall they established themselves as a strong, supported, and loved couple. Like I said previously, I am rooting for them and I hope they get the love and happiness they deserve. But there is a dark cloud on the horizon, and it's the fact that in his last confessional before the wedding, Gunnar said that it is finally registering for him that the wedding day is coming up, and he doesn't know if he feels ready. I must confess, I was on Instagram last week, and while I was opening the app, Storytime with Ricky pops up with a mind blown expression on top of a photo of a bald groom kissing a curly haired bride. It was for a split second, but it was enough for me to know that Ricky was talking about their wedding. I immediately closed Instagram, so I'm not sure what I saw, if this is a happy moment or a sad moment, and I'm looking forward to seeing the weddings and reunion for that. Once again, I am leaving Yasmin and Andy for last to remind myself to try and keep this video short. Their honeymoon was nice, and I really liked that they were active and they did stand up paddling together. Yasmin opens up more about her insecurities and what type of man she wants her husband to be. And this seems to reciprocate, but at times Yasmin wonders if his words come truly from his heart or if he's just saying them without meaning. I can imagine how this might feel confusing for both of them. On one hand, as a woman who has been betrayed by partners before, it's understandable that Yasmin is guarded and hypervigilant. But if this is the only type of love you receive, the hot and cold, very insecure, very uncertain type, you also might end up reading too much into situations and becoming suspicious of everyone regardless of their behavior. Yasmin also reflects about this, and as a person who has been on a long journey of self love and emotional awareness, I can relate to her trying to figure things out. On the other hand, I think it's equally confusing for Andy as well, and for someone in Andy's situation who is aware of their partner's past, they can also lean into hypervigilance, making sure they say the right thing, making sure they show up the right way for the other one. Basically, a general focus on the other person's well being in their own detriment. The fear of hurting others can sometimes make you forget about your own needs, and this is overall confusing for both of them, like I said. I simply cannot brush over the Munich couples meetup and the whole Yasmin, Andy, and Dustin situation. I honestly do not recall Andy being so close to Dustin in the men's lounge, but the fact that he constantly keeps hugging Dustin and going on a spiral about him and Yasmin makes me also agree with Yasmin that this feels like insecurity. I wasn't particularly a fan of Yasmin sharing her thoughts and worries about Andy with Dustin. I'm not sure how much they talked about this or how aware Andy was at this point about everything that she was feeling, but I didn't like that she immediately started spilling everything that was wrong in her relationship with another man, let alone a man who she once considered her choice for marriage. All in all, it was awkward for everyone, and Andy lurking around the table and eventually joining Yasmin and Dustin's conversation was the cherry on top. I got secondhand embarrassment. You got secondhand embarrassment. My cats probably got secondhand embarrassment. But moving on, this is only a fraction of their story, and I also saw them getting closer, open, and vulnerable to one another. We don't see any meeting between them and Yasmin's family, but we get a good demo about how she would fit in Andy's family, who is very welcoming of her, and they are very supportive of the relationship. I really liked the fact that Yasmin and Dandy built a cat box for Yasmin's cat Fluffy because Yasmin mentioned that one of her passions is DIY. I also really liked the cute I love you scene in the fair at the end of episode 7. For those of you who don't know, the heart-shaped cookie that Andy is writing on is actually a gingerbread cookie, and you usually find them at all the fairs. I love the fact that these cookies are so big you have a ribbon to hang them around your neck with. Before closing the video, I have to make some predictions. I think that Jesse and Consti are a definite yes. They work well together, and I'm sure they will say yes on their wedding day. Josie and Gunnar, I am really hoping for a yes, but I am worried about the child-free topic and Gunnar's last words in episode 8. Yasmin and Andy, I say yes. What the hell? Some things are uncertain, but I am hopeful for Yasmin, and as a matter of fact, I am hopeful for everyone on the cast to find real love. Next time, I will be talking about the weddings and the reunion. Thank you for watching, and if you like what I'm doing, stick around. Bye!